I'm happy with the midfield signings, but I still think we need goals from midfield. So hopefully, I think with Trent in there, we get more goals from midfield, more creativity. The problem now is, well, the way we see it is, it's still going to be like, is it going to be a hybrid or is it going to be there permanently? So what do you guys think? Number one, do you think in playing midfield is a good idea? I'll start with DJ Kabiyesi. Do you think it's a good idea for us to continue playing midfield, or do you think we should just leave him at right back and get proper midfielders in quotes?
I think it's a good idea. Like I think they're calling it the 3-box-3.
Yeah,
it's like a perfect so it's a perfect system for us. The only thing is we may need some more reinforcement in at center back. Like the one thing that I've always, complained about our team, I love it, but it's also a weakness. We expose our back line so much. Like in many cases, like it drives me crazy when people say stuff like Van Dijk is done. Because what we actually do is we leave him on an island by himself so many times, and people that don't understand how we play, sometimes it leaves us a little bit exposed on that right side. But by moving Trent into, that bottom part of the box, having like 3 center backs or Robertson as a center back and playing Konate and Van Dijk as a back 3, I just feel that it gives us a little bit more solid. It makes us a little bit more solid in the back. If Robertson bombs up, we're still not all the way exposed. Trent is still in a position where he can cover back, but at least he's not the last man in defense. Yeah. And I think that kind of helps us out a little bit. It brings us a little bit more balance. And with the talent that we're now bringing into midfield, we don't have to rely so much on, providing assists from the wing as much, and we'll have that level of creativity as well as the stability to be effective.
See, I'm on the other side. I want to keep things as is. I think he should be right back, inverted right back. What we're doing right now with the ball, he's in midfield next to Fab, and he can get, he can be creative where he needs to be there. And then we saw teams adjust that gave Konate the ball and all day to do stuff with it. So I think if we adjust and start creating off of that, I think that's a big plus. I mean, because we necessarily never played really midfield as a midfielder. We did that inverted fullback. So when we had possession, it was next to Fab and he could create out of the midfield. My biggest thing is, Trent's biggest weakness is his defending. And I'm not talking about position and people are like, oh, he goes up. When he is back already, I'm not talking about getting back, but when he's back already, one give and go and he gets caught ball watching, he loses the runner. That's his weakness. I would be terrified to have a midfielder that loses the runner, because on any attacking any midfield can jog into our midfield, and there's no way in heck, if Trent is not watching them as a right back, he's not going to watch him as a midfielder, and people are just going to waltz into that box open and uncovered, because I don't think Trent is going to track back with him.
I'm with Tim in this for this particular point, in that I think I honestly think Trent moving to midfield. I watched him with England going forward. Superb. He's comfortable. He likes. I feel like he's unburdened, knowing that his main responsibility isn't the defensive side of things. And it's just the picking of passes and almost dictating the tempo. It's almost got like a Thiago role when he played, those two games for England, where he just gets the ball and he just sprays with the quarterback. He's just spraying the passes, and dictating, playing through him. But you did still see moments where, just a little lapse in concentration, little ball through him. He's not really paying attention. He's like, oh shit, I need to, get back. Now with the inverted right back role, what I do like about that one is in the back of his mind, he's still thinking, at some point I'm going to have to run back there. So he's still got some sort of focus on knowing he has to defend. Whereas I feel if you just throw him in midfield, he will completely abandon the defensive side. Not to say he won't pick it up, and he started as a midfielder, and I believe he has all the qualities to be an absolute general in midfield and just add that to his game. He's still very young, but knowing Klopp, you can't tell Klopp anything. Like, I'm sorry, there's nobody on this planet that is telling Klopp anything. So just because everyone thinks, in midfield, no, he will phase him into midfield a bit. But I think That's my right back. That's the right back that helped me win the league and the Champions League and the FA Cup and the League Cup. And he's right. You know, you can fault him. Nobody on this earth can fault him. What I will say, I pray this season we slowly phase out that super high line. That line is far too high that we play. That defensive line that we play is too high. And like Tim said again, Van Dijk isn't Superman. Before we used to be able to rely on Van Dijk. You can play any ball over the top. Nobody's beating Van Dijk for pace at all.
Yeah.
This season, we've seen him get beat by, people I can't even pronounce the name. You think Soboslai is a hard name to pronounce. I can't pronounce even the first name, never mind the last name. Yeah. And these men are burning Van Dijk for pace.
Yeah.
But got a feel for him. That's been his job for so long. He's come back from, probably one of the worst injuries you can have as a professional athlete. You're damaging your ACL. And at the age that he hasn't damaged it when he's 21, he's 28 when he's damaged that ACL. So, he's another one where he's getting to that stage. Obviously, centre backs have more longevity in them. He's got to that point in his career where he's starting to, more football IQ's coming into it, and he's having to adapt his game based on, his physical attributes. The strength, dominance in the air, that'll still be there, but the speed, that unfortunately it leaves all of us except for maybe Kyle Walker for some reason. I don't know how.
Yeah.
It's the alcohol. Yeah.
The first thing, like you said, is Trent is not going. If he's in the middle, Fabinho, for example, Fabinho is next to him. Okay, not the Fabinho we saw last season. Let's say we have the prime Fabinho back. We have the prime Fabinho next to him. Hopefully. So if Trent is getting beaten, we have a prime Fabinho next to him to mop up. If Fabinho gets beaten, we still have the last 3 defenders at the back. So that's there. But my thing is, I think people watch Trent looking for mistakes. I think because the press and the media have spent so much talking about it, we all go into the games looking for when Trent is getting beaten. And like Bola said, all midfielders get beaten at one point. Even all defenders, the best defenders as well. Maldini, when it was the prime Maldini, got roasted once or twice, maybe every few weeks. It happens. Maybe we don't have to do it every game because there'll be some games where we definitely need him at right back. Maybe when you have a speedy left winger trying to come in through that way. But there are some games I think we can just get away with just putting him in midfield. There are games we're going to dominate possession 70% of the time. You got just leave him there. Let him dictate the game. Segment is sponsored by 7-Up. Best memory of the season from the past season. But yeah, to be fair, let's make it interesting. Let's not talk about Man U beating them 7-0. But at least they know what the 7-Up reference means. I know, yeah. Team has given up. Let's just find something else. Apart from the 7-0 victory over Man U, what was your best memory from that season, Tim?
Oh man, you took the best one away. Yeah, my brother is a United
that's obviously all of us are going to say.
Yeah, that's gonna last forever. I mean, he's a United fan, and I constantly keep bringing it up, and he sidesteps it. Credit to him, but I don't know. It's hard to find a good one, man. I mean, I know for personally, as American Scouser, the fundraiser we did, that's probably, and I kept talking about it during I'm like, this is a shit season. Let's get something positive out of this. And the fundraiser we did, and with all the Liverpool fans here, I mean, across the pond, like Yola, I mean, there were so many people contributing, sharing, helping and stuff. That's probably like one thing. When I look back to the season, we talked about this on our podcast, like 10 years from now, when you look back, you're going to remember the 7-0, right? As you're sipping your 7-Up. That's what you're going to remember from the season. And I will probably remember that. That was the season we did that fundraiser. It was for the earthquake survivors in Turkey. Obviously, it meant a lot more to me being Turkish and stuff like that. So that was kind of like something cool that we ended up doing. I think we ended up in like close to like $5,000, which is not a lot, but it takes care of a lot of kids. It was with SaveTheChildren.org and stuff. So, but in terms of moments, the only one I can think of that, when I look back at the whole season, that one kind of sticks out is the Tottenham game. And Richarlison's pouting afterwards. I mean, that's one thing that I will probably take away. First of all, I think it also talks about what Ryan was talking about earlier, right? Gave you flashbacks of those 90s games where just crazy games that you were like, man, what a game that was. And then the next week it's like a dud again. But yeah, it's kind of like kind of a game. I will probably take that as a memory of.
Yeah. When I gave me the list of what what we'd be going over, and I saw the question, and that wasn't part of it. Like, I really, really had to scratch my head to even think of one. Like, it was tough. I mean, I'll give 3, but in no particular order, just as a collective, because none of them really meant anything ultimately, more sentimental. So, the 9-0 against Bournemouth. So, highest goal, most goals we scored in a biggest win, ever in the Prem for us. Joint record. Salah getting the quickest hat trick in the Champions League against Rangers. 7-1. And then, again, Bobby scoring in his final game at Anfield. That one made me happy. Like, I didn't even care what the score was going to be. I was just happy. I was just happy for him, because I absolutely from day one to that, I love Bobby. Like, Bobby's. Like, have you seen the documentary yet?
Oh yeah, it was heartbreaking.
Oh my god, watching it like this.
It was heartbreaking.
Like, I was happy for the guy, and he scored in the last game of the season as well.
But you guys basically, you have like Tim. I was going to say that Jota goal in the Spurs game. That was probably one of the highlights of my season. I was like, because I still remember how loudly I shouted when the goal went in, because I just was so angry when Richarlison scored. I was so angry, of all people to concede an equalizer to this twat Richarlison. And then 30 seconds later, we're scoring the 4th goal. I was like, wow, the winning goal. And
I don't think it would mean as much if Kane got there 3rd, to be fair. Like, I don't think I would remember it as much.
Richarlison had to take that top off. Had to,
flexing the muscles and all that.